Welcome back to your Yankees Latest. I'm your host, John Laloggia. Yanks win 10-3 last night, taking care of business. Bats come alive. Will Warren throws a great game, 5 2/3, no earned runs. It's pretty easy when you have Judge homering for the 34th time, Stanton hitting his second bomb, Goldschmidt going 3 for 4 with a double, 2 RBIs, 2 runs scored. Stanton 2 for 4, home run, 3 RBIs, 2 runs scored. So offense really came out tonight or last night, and they needed it to. They needed a game like this where they won handedly, at least by 5 or more runs. They win by 7. This team needs to do this. They can score runs. They can pitch. They're a very good team. I haven't been playing well as of late, but these are things that they needed to do. Stanton looked really, really good at the plate. Wells hit a monster 2-run homer. Absolutely blasted it. Second deck for his 14th home run. So this team can slug. They can hit. Tim Hill pitched well. Judge flips a Yankee Stadium home run to right field perfectly. So he's tied for the most home runs before the All-Star break in any season, including 2024. So Cal Raleigh hit an absolute tank for his 36. It's so crazy how good Judge is, and then you realize that Raleigh has 2 more home runs in him. He's just a beast right now. And he passed Ken Griffey Jr. for most homers by a Mariner before the All-Star break, which is absolutely wild. Scott Efros seals the Yankees win in the 9th. So, it's a different bullpen look. But overall, this team needed this win. They've been scuffling. 13 hits, no errors, 10 runs. That's what you wanted. Really good win from Will Warren and beat a very good pitcher in Logan Gilbert. So, all in all, really, really great stuff. I want to get to this. I saw on Twitter Michael Kay talking about Yankee fans and Boone being fired, and maybe you saw it, but it's basically just, we know that Michael Kay works for the Yes Network, and he's just hammering Yankee fans of like, you're delusional if you think Aaron Boone should be fired. This guy took this team to the World Series. Just because he didn't win 3 more games in the World Series doesn't mean he's a bad manager or he doesn't know what he's doing. He's a very good manager with a very good track record and a very good team with really good players. So lay off him. I'm tired. He was basically saying, I'm tired of all this doom and gloom and this team sucks and everything else. And so, I wanted to talk about that a little bit. Like, are Yankee fans being unreasonable? Well, based off of the history of the Yankees, the expectations are sky high. They have 27 World Series championships, one of the most in professional sports, or maybe the most in professional sports. The expectations for the Yankees are different than other teams. You have a license to print money because of the New York Yankees. You can pretty much get almost every player that you want, with the exception of Juan Soto, who didn't want to play for the Yankees and wanted to go for the Mets, or Cashman just didn't want to give him an extra $5-10 million bucks. But are Yankees fans being unreasonable? I see it both ways. If you're thinking about it logically, and I think Michael Kay is logically, the Yankees are a good team, and Boone has been a good manager. I think the problem with Boone is they don't like him personally. They don't like his personality. They don't like his lack of transparency when things are going bad or they're not playing well. And he doesn't get up on the mic or on the press, with the press, or stand up and say, this is not good enough. This team isn't playing up to their standards, certainly up to the Yankees standards. And we have certain guys that aren't locked in, and we need to turn that around, and that stops with me. So he doesn't really do that. And he's not a fiery manager. I know he's been kicked out a few times, but I think Yankee fans, if you gave them truth serum, I think they're happy with the performance. Obviously, they won a World Series championship and haven't had one since 2009. And then Michael Kay points out, and correctly so, that some of these teams have never won a championship. The A's, the Guardians, it's been forever. Some of these teams never win. The Pirates haven't won in forever. So you could be one of those teams. And Yankee fans, stop being so unreasonable and stop being spoiled, because this team is really good. Yeah, you've had a setback and you're behind Toronto, who's playing out of their minds right now. But logically, this is a very good team. And Boone is a good manager. Personally, I think they just don't. One, I think they're just tired of Cashman. Cashman's been there for over 20 years, and I think they're tired of him. I don't think they respect Hal Steinbrenner like they did George. I've seen Hal talk. He does not have. He just has a different demeanor and a perspective than George did. I mean, George was very unreasonable and really acted like a fan. And I think Hal is much more mature and thinks much more logically and is not going to make rash decisions, which shows maturity, and he's probably a more healthier human being. But that doesn't mesh well with fans who are more like George and want to fire everyone when things don't go well, which is not the best course of action. And so I don't think Hal is that smart. I don't think he's bright, but I do think he's mature, and I do think he is in a good spot where he's not going to make any rash decisions. You don't fire Cashman. He's made a lot of really good moves with this team this year, and he's made a lot of good moves in the past. And you don't fire Aaron Boone. You don't fire Aaron Boone because the players love him. And the players love him is because he takes all the pressure and puts it on. He takes all the pressure off the players, saying, this team, we're a really good team. We're still the best team in baseball, as he said, behind closed doors, and somehow got leaked. That to reassure the team that they're still the best team in baseball, and to not worry and just take one game at a time, and these things are going to happen, and it's a long season. And all of that's true. And I think that is sort of the demeanor that you have to take. I think there's some big stars on this team. And when you have big stars, you do have to treat them differently. You don't manage every person the same way. High-profile players in New York, like a Stanton, like a Judge, Goldschmidt, Jazz Chisholm, big attitude, big personality. You've got to handle these guys differently. And chastising players and calling them out in 2025, you can't do that anymore. That doesn't work. You're gonna lose. Aaron Judge is gonna be there a lot longer than Aaron Boone. I remember watching this documentary called Showrunner, which was about people that run shows in Hollywood, TV shows. And one showrunner, I think it was the showrunner for the show Bones, which ran for 13 plus seasons on Fox. It wasn't very good, but very popular. Just because something is popular doesn't mean it's good. And I remember him saying, in year one, you're a partnership, you and the actor. In year two, year one, they work for you. In year two, you're a partnership. And in year three, you work for them. Because the actors are not replaceable, but you certainly are. And so I thought that was interesting. And so it's sort of kind of the thing when you have these big-time players. These players are locked up, guaranteed contracts. They're not moving. If anyone moves, it's going to be Boone or coach. It's not going to be one of these players. And I think Boone is also a survivalist. He's figured out a way to navigate the tricky waters of the media and players and front office and analytics and mesh it all together to keep his job. That guy is a survivalist, and I think he does that. And I think that's one of the reasons why people get upset with him, because he doesn't say, hey, this team isn't playing well. And Judge or not Judge, pretty much anyone but Judge, needs to play better. Our pitching needs to be better. This guy needs to, we paid this guy to get these outs in the 8th inning. He's got to get outs. Leiter has to be better. Weaver isn't the same. Not calling people out, but showing accountability. And I don't think Yankee fans are being unreasonable for that, but I think that's why he's doing it. And it's complicated. This is one of the toughest jobs in professional sports, is the manager for the New York Yankees. So I do think Yankee fans logically are being unreasonable, but at the same time, this team, you have a ton of prospects, you have a ton of money, there's a lot you can do, and you're close. You went to the World Series last year. You're so close. You know you need defensive upgrades. Step on the freaking gas, Cashman, and put this team over the top. And I think that's what fans want to do. Potential blockbuster trades. So I want to talk about this. There's a couple of interesting packages. So Yankees need starting pitching, obviously with Schmidt being gone for the year, and infield help. So Yankees could, so these are potential blockbuster trades I just want to talk about and just pitch. Yankees could pull off a multi-player blockbuster trade with the Padres. So the Padres would be open, rumors have said, the Padres would be open. That would involve sending a top-line starter like Musgrove or Darvish, or a star infielder like Xander Bogaerts, who the Yankees would absolutely love, and a reliever to the Yankees in a package for prospects and MLB-ready talent. So what would that mean? The Yankees would address the rotation, infield, and bullpen, which are the three areas that they really need to do. Another package that they could do is land Sandy Alcantara and Edward Cabrera for the Marlins. Alcantara has been linked to the Yankees, a deal that would involve him and Cabrera. That would require the Yankees to part with best prospects like Spencer Jones. They said they were going to move George Lombard Jr., but we'll see. But they would absolutely need it. And then another potential deal is that the Yankees would swing for a deal for like a superstar closer. So Clase has been sort of being shopped around just because the Guardians have been not tanking, but they just haven't been winning in a long time. They've had quite a downturn. The Yankees trade for Emmanuel Clase or Yon Duran from the Twins, two of the best closers in baseball, both under long-term deals and are rarely available, but a desperate seller could be enticed by a massive prospect haul. So I think that's viable. Out of all of those, I really like that Padres multiplayer deal. You can get Bogaerts, you can get Darvish or Musgrove. That would be perfect. I think their bullpen is okay. That's not a concern of mine. The concern is that third base infield piece and another starting pitcher, especially with Clark Schmidt going down. Those are my two concerns. So I want them to focus on that. But I thought those were interesting. Last but not least, I want to talk about a couple things. So Jazz Chisholm is moving back to second base as LeMahieu transitions to a bench role. This is long overdue. And again, credit to Boone for understanding this. We've been talking about this for a week, making that adjustment that had to be made. Because Chisholm is a natural second baseman. It's where he plays. LeMahieu is a very viable piece off the bench that can hit for power occasionally, but make contact, can run and is a smart player. And if you need him to play defense late in the game, he can do it serviceably. But Chisholm has been dealing with right shoulder soreness for approximately 3 weeks. You find a third baseman at the deadline, whether that's Suarez, whether that's Bogaerts, and you move him to third or whatever. Chisholm is at second. That's your best lineup. Your infield, I'm not crazy about Volpe, but you're kind of stuck with him. I don't know what else you do with him. But third base, I want Arenado, Suarez, or Bogaerts at third. Or you let LeMahieu play second and move Jazz to third and let Bogaerts play short. I don't know. There's a lot you can do. But getting another infielder would be huge. It would give you a lot of options. But I like Goldschmidt at first, Chisholm at second, Volpe at short, and then either Suarez, Arenado, or Bogaerts at third. I just think that is a World Series winning infield right there. Those four. Mark Leiter Jr., left fibular head stress fracture, 15-day IL, so he has not been pitching well as of late. So he went testing yesterday. He couldn't really finish his pitches, so we'll see what happens there. Luis Gil supposed to come back this month. I wouldn't normally I would say they're going to push him to August. With Schmidt going down and them falling in the standings, if they continue to fall behind the Blue Jays, you might see him in July as opposed to August, a little bit earlier. Clark Schmidt's done. Ryan Yarbrough, who I definitely think they need back. I think when he got hurt and left the team, I really saw a downturn in their performance. Dealing with a right oblique strain, expected return possibly July. So we'll see what happens there. And then Fernando Cruz, a huge bullpen piece that they haven't had, a left oblique strain again. A lot of oblique strains this year. Expected to return sometime next month. As long as they have him for the playoff stretch run, that's not a concern. I think Yarbrough, getting him back, is more of a concern because of the lack of starting pitching, and we know he can do that, and this is proven that he can do that this year. A lot going on. This is exciting stuff. Excited to be covering it. This month's going to be crazy leading up to the trade deadline. A lot's going to happen between now and July 31st. So please tune in, subscribe, tell your friends. If you don't like the show, tell your enemies. We will keep you updated with the latest Yankee moves and do a lot of trade talks about the deadline. That's been your Yankees Latest. I'm your host, John Laloggia. Yanks play Seattle again tonight, 7:05 Eastern start. We'll recap that game and give it to you tomorrow. Thanks for everyone. Appreciate it. Appreciate the support, and I'll see you tomorrow. Take care.